You guys, my name is Rage and we are back today with the next node here of Dark Dimension 4, going forward with the city nodes here. So I'll quickly show you guys my roster that I've utilized for my symbiotes, and then it's going to be a continuation of my previous 4 characters, but I'll just quickly show you guys what I have built here in terms of T4s and gear level. So as you can see, Venom with a special and ultimate being T4'd. We also got a level 3 ISO 8 striker there. Next, we got Symbiote Spider-Man, capitalizing on his basic, ultimate, as well as his passive T4s, as well as a level 5 Raider for the ISO 8. Next, we got Anti-Venom here. Actually, all of his T4s maxed out. Just an amazing character overall, great kit, and just provides immense value to the Symbiote roster. As well, a level 4 ISO 8 Striker. And then last but not least, to round off my roster, it is going to be Scream, as you can see here with the T4s on both for special and ultimate, as well as a level 4 ISO 8 Skirmisher to apply the vulnerability. That's my full roster right there. So with that being said, let's dive right into the gameplay. Now, this is arguably the hardest node in Dark Dimension 4, you guys, so keep in mind, this is going to be a little different from my other videos where it normally takes me 1 or 2 tries, but this one actually, I believe, once I was actually done it, I was around, I think, 12 to 15 attacks, and you know, I don't want to say that too lightly here, because arguably this is probably the hardest node in all of Dark Dimension in terms of difficulty. So I'm gonna once again reference Dutch Rudder's Dark Dimension 4 guide for reference here, because we need a proper navigation in terms of getting to the end here. And you're gonna find that the way that this node is structured is very, very different from the other ones in terms of difficulty overall. It almost feels like that taste of Dark Dimension 3, you know, where it just felt impossible, and that's kind of the gist I got, especially when you see the difficulty level of this compared to the previous areas that we've already kind of overcome in the game, especially in Dark Dimension 4. So as you can see, starting off, my Symbiote Spider-Man already did fall, but thankfully I did have Anti-Venom's revive to bring him back. And right from the beginning, you can see here that I'm actually going to focus on Jessica Jones, because keep in mind, she's got the cleanse, so any of the negative conditions on our enemies is not going to stick. We just got to be mindful of her. Another enemy we have to be wary of as well is Captain Marvel, as well as Miss Marvel, because both of them do quite a bit of damage. And just to top that even more, Star-Lord on their end actually blinds, and then Captain America also provides protection and taunting. So I mean, overall, even this first wave is already quite a handful. Ideally, what I like to do is stun and then extend it, but you can see with Jessica Jones already getting out of her stun, we're really not given a lot of choices. You kind of almost have to shoulder a little bit of the damage. Ideally, if you guys have 5 characters to start with in the city nodes, I think it's a lot better. I've seen a lot of other content creators with 5 characters, it soaks up damage. You know, the 5th could be Punisher, it could be Night Nurse, but for me personally, I only have 4 symbiote characters, and I was pretty low on materials for investing to level 80, so that's why you got to work with what you got, right? So you can see here, really took advantage of that extension there of the negatives, so you really want to take advantage of that, especially with Venom. But again, you want to focus on key targets being Jessica Jones, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, anybody that you can kind of get out of the way, but the key is definitely getting the cleanser. And here, Jessica Jones does go down naturally because of all those negative conditions as well as the bleed. So that's a win for us there. And once again now, if you have Symbiote, definitely try to time your stun. Key targets to stun would be Captain Marvel and Star-Lord, just because Star-Lord has a blind, he generates energy. And then Captain Marvel also does a lot of damage next to Rocket Raccoon. But fortunately, if you're able to control that cluster there with the speed, as you can see, thanks to Stream. And once you get going with the Symbiote roster, it really goes good. Honestly speaking, if you guys have all 5, including Carnage, I think that's ideally probably the best team to have for this node. And I didn't, unfortunately, but I've seen some videos where other content creators, it only takes them a few tries if you have all 5, so definitely a lot better than just the 4. And it's amazing how much a difference it makes when you have the full team. In terms of ordering here, you can see that I do actually go ahead and finish off Star-Lord next here, again thanks to those negative conditions. And at this point, really just kind of focus in on finishing off this cluster here, because keep in mind, as per Dutch Rudder's guide, we are able to actually go ahead and finish off this entire wave before the next wave that spawns, including, you know, the mixture of the X-23, Iron Man, another Star-Lord, and Rescue. So this is the other wave before the Emma Frost wave, the infamous wave where it takes all 4 or 5 characters to actually take her down.
and you'll see that very once you clean up the right side. Definitely who I would focus for next is Captain Marvel, just because she has a lot of damage, and reason being is you want to take down the high damage targets such as Rocket Raccoon and Captain Marvel before the next wave spawns, so that way when we're slowly basic attacking Captain America and Sabretooth here, we're going to be able to have generate energy ready to go for the next wave. And now as we go ahead and finish off Sabretooth, you are going to see now the next wave, especially if the bleed takes him out, you see him actually stay there still, but he's actually gone. And it's going to include this significant cluster here of X-23, Iron Man, Shield Trooper, that repeats his special, Punisher, a Shield Security, Star-Lord, and Rescue, as well as a Venom. So a very, very dangerous cluster already. And keep in mind, from this wave, we can only take down actually 3 characters before the wave that includes Emma Frost, a Symbiote Spider-Man, and a Scream. So that's why it is very devastating. You have to be very, very focused on this wave, because who you take down could definitely dictate the rest of your attempts leading up to finishing off Emma Frost before the most hardest wave, being wave 4. So I mean, it's just one thing after another in this wave, and if I could rewind the clock, I definitely would have probably done it better, but definitely I'll point out some things that I kind of missed here in these attempts. So you see here, I really do focus on Iron Man because he's got that repeatable special and ultimate. So that's why I stunned him. That's why I used Scream's ultimate to reduce the speed, all that in that cluster over there. There's a lot of damage dealers over there as well, you know, including Punisher, Star-Lord, as well as X-23. So just having them all grouped up together, at least that benefits us. You can see that I ability block Star-Lord as well, just to kind of ensure that cluster doesn't do damage on that side. And keep in mind too, the right side is a little bit more broken up with those shield characters, being Trooper and Security. So that's why I wasn't concerned. You really do want to focus on the left side, especially characters that you do not want to see in the next wave next to Emma Frost, right? So damage dealers such as Star-Lord, Punisher, Iron Man, you don't want to see them. Oh, X-23 is in that list, obviously, as well. So Star-Lord does end up being the first one I take down, and now I'm continually harassing Iron Man. But keep in mind too, Rescue is really good because she's got the barrier and the cleanse, so she's also not a character you want to leave alone for too long, especially if she can provide another cleanse on top of Emma Frost, right? Now, if I could rewind the clock, I definitely wish I did a better job, because you can see that I tried to weaken as many guys as I could, including Punisher. You see X-23 is pretty weak. I also weakened Rescue. But now with this next wave spawning that includes Emma Frost, the Symbiote Spider-Man, and the Scream, you know, you can tell I am in trouble now, because, you know, the moment, if it gets to Emma Frost's turn, you know, she's gonna go ahead and actually cleanse all these guys. So you see I tried to ability block her, it didn't work. So now I'm just desperate and trying to finish off as many guys as I can, because I know there's a storm coming, especially with Emma Frost being part of this cluster. Especially when you got 3 symbiotes, you know, you got Symbiote Spider-Man over there next to Scream and Venom. That's very, very dangerous, as well as 2 Shield Synergy minions, right? So fortunately, we were able to clean up the cluster, 14 out of 27 characters. And the nice thing now about this wave is that we can actually focus all of them before the next wave spawns. And something to keep in mind too, you guys, the Shield Trooper actually can repeat his special as well. So, you know, in another time and place, maybe I should have taken him out sooner, because he is quite squishy, or at least weakened him, right? Because now we're in this terrible mess. And you can see I got 2 characters left, and we're up against now 3 symbiotes, Emma Frost, as well as, you know, 2 troopers. Excuse me, 2 shield characters. So now that is my defeat right there, but it's going to definitely be hard now, because that's a difficult starting point. So that's my first attempt, you guys. So I was able to do a lot of good work there, but definitely now there's a lot of attempts left. And as I said before, I already know what happens because I'm doing a voiceover, but it gets definitely interesting in terms of how we attack the rest of it now. So I did just fast forward a lot of the action for you guys to save time, but you can see kind of what happened here. I did finish off Scream as the next character here in line, and again, I took a lot of attempts just day by day, because you're gonna see that once you get stuck in this mess of this wave, you can only do so much before they actually take you out. Emma Frost is always gonna focus Symbiote Spider-Man with her blind, so you really just gotta see if you can do meaningful attempts. Try to aim everything at one character at a time. We took Scream out first, and you bet now next is gonna be Trooper. There we go. Now finishing up and cleaning up Trooper here. The next one is actually going to be Symbiote Spider-Man. And keep in mind, I did just chop through this and save you guys a little bit of time. It was not the same attempt, but just to save you a little bit of time when watching, you can see Symbiote Spider-Man becomes the next one to attack by default, just because he's got that stun. You know, he's really effective in terms of healing his Venom as well.
In my opinion, shield security doesn't do a lot of damage. He's just pesky in the sense that he does taunt, but you know, that's quite alright. The moment we take down Symbiote Spider-Man, I really do think that opens the door for our synergies and for us to really get going with our team.
Now, we've finally gotten to a point where we've completely isolated Emma Frost, and this is going to be extremely important, you guys, because if you don't have the right team and roster, it's going to be very, very difficult. So, I mean, first and foremost, a lot of Redditors online have already commented that you need a skirmisher on Symbiote Spider-Man to land his ultimate. And to be honest with you, I found it did make a big difference. And generally, when you want to do this combination is when Emma Frost uses that blind, as you can see, on Symbiote Spider-Man. And it targeted him because he has I believe he's targeted most often just due to his stats. And as a result of that, his stun will still hit because he's blinded, and his stun is actually unavoidable. So that's why it still landed, right? But that's really the key of opening up a space for us to do damage.
And honestly speaking, the moment she actually misses her ultimate on us in terms of blinding, she doesn't use her diamond form, right? And that's why it's so important to do as much damage as you can in this instance. As you can see, even though the stun didn't land on her, you can still do some really good damage, especially with the bleeds, right? So you just try to throw everything at her as you can, whether it be defense down, whether it be the bleeds from Venom. You just try to put as much damage as you can on her in that window of time. And that's really how you're going to kind of build a case against her, especially preparing for the next wave here. And keep in mind, you want to throw everything at her, but at the same time, you need to also be wary of the fact that if you use too many abilities, you know, are you going to be actually left without any, I guess, preparation for the next wave? That's the other thing you want to think about too, right? We're like so desperate to take her down that it kind of leaves us exposed for the next wave. And that is what's going to happen with me, as you'll see. But, you know, for me, my focus was taking down Emma Frost, right? So, I mean, at least we got the job done. But unfortunately, there is a very powerful wave waiting after Emma Frost. And that's why this node is definitely, that's why it makes it the most difficult node in the game, especially in the Dark Dimension saga.
And you can see here what really clinched it for me, as you'll see, is Venom's actually ability blocker that actually sticks. You know, that never sticks, and it actually did. So, you know, Venom's the character that doesn't even have a skirmish on him. It turns out, you know, just thanks to the timing and luck, we were able to actually get an ability block on her. We got a stun on her, and you can see now we're just able to really kind of inflict some damage on her and really buying us time. You know, with that being said, the bleeds really do take its toll, especially once you are able to actually land a defense down, thanks to Symbiote Spider-Man's defense down basic. You know, that's really where it's going to get notable. And keep this in mind again, right? We use most of our abilities, as you can see from my characters here. So it's not good right now. You see this insane cluster that comes out. Captain America, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, a Black Bolt to ensure our revives bring us, you know, nowhere essentially. A Jessica Jones that actually repeats her special. And of course, a Miss Marvel, excuse me, with an ultimate that she can repeat just for our sake. But at least following the guide, once again, you guys, you know, always keep referencing it whenever you need a little bit of guidance. But in this wave, especially, Jessica Jones and Miss Marvel would be the two that I would recommend in taking down. I know it kind of makes more sense to take down a key character such as Black Bolt that prevents us from reviving, but just the amount of cleansing that Jessica Jones can do. Miss Marvel has a repeatable ultimate that can keep generating energy. Those two are the really key targets. You can see how easy it is for them to take us down, and unfortunately, unlike the previous waves and nodes, even if we're taken down, especially Black Bolt activating his passive, you know, we're not going to be able to utilize Anti-Venom's revive anymore, right? So that's the only thing now. This is probably going to take up a really sizable portion of your attempts. So at this point, I recognize it's already over, so I'm just trying to do as much damage as I can to both Jessica Jones and Miss Marvel. It's nice at least they're together, so chain attacks can at least kind of help out a bit. But you can see we actually stood no chance here, and this is where the bulk of my attempts were actually from this node. So you're gonna see me just now shuffling through the recordings here for ease of reference.
Definitely one of the most
annoying things is when you start the match off, you're gonna see that Captain Marvel just goes ahead and uses her special or ultimate, almost takes out a character for guaranteed. And thankfully, if it's her passive that actually takes him out, Anti-Venom can actually revive. So keep that in mind. You know, you want Captain Marvel actually killing your character, so that way Black Bolt's not the one actually taking them down and preventing the revive. So you can see now I'm very close to taking down Jessica Jones. You know, I'm not sure how many attempts it took me, but you know, I was extremely happy to finally take her out because then her cleanse now is gone.
Many attempts later, as you can see, I was very excited to actually get Miss Marvel down to a very close and comfortable level now. She is the next in target here, just because, again, she's got her ultimates, and you definitely want to take advantage of taking her down ASAP following Jessica Jones.
And honestly speaking, once she's down, dare I say, this wave actually does become quite manageable, in the sense that it's more reasonable to actually, you know, have our opportunity to maintain our defense up thanks to Anti-Venom's ultimate, and as well as Venom having his defense up naturally if we meet that health threshold. So now we finish off Captain Marvel with Jessica Jones and Miss Marvel being down now. We do actually go ahead, just target characters that are weaker but do a higher amount of damage, you know, such as Black Panther, X-23s. They both are very potent. I would leave Captain America just because he doesn't do a lot of damage, and you know, if he taunts, it is what it is, right? We can naturally take him down, but I would focus on the squishier characters. And really, at this point, it's pretty smooth sailing. We finish off then Captain America, and with one of the X-23s being stunned, we can just continue to do our work, extend the stun if you can, and really just take our time with it. You can see now we have one X-23 left, and we did actually leave Black Bolt for the very end, just because, you know, he is slower if you're able to get the slow on him, so he doesn't attack as much. Yes, he can take down one of our characters and prevent them from reviving, but fortunately he's slow enough and doesn't get enough turns that it's not really a big issue, so as long as you have the defense up. So there you guys have it. One of the hardest nodes in the game, if not the hardest, and you know, it's actually one of the few times where I've taken over 10 attempts to actually complete a node. I think the only other time was in Dark Dimension 3, being node 8, that very sizable one in global. So I mean, definitely goes without saying, the content creators, excuse me, the developers, in my opinion, probably could have done a better job with this node design, especially considering the rest of Dark Dimension 4 being a lot more reasonable. But then again, we were using only 4 characters, but I just don't like how there really wasn't any other team to get through these nodes, with the exception of the symbiotes. And by forcing players to play that specific way, you know, I think it takes away from the creativity, right? So hopefully in the future they're gonna have some different aspects to attempt this, but I don't think it was a reasonable design to actually be this difficult. But you know, to each their own, right? So at this point, very straightforward. We're just gonna go ahead now and finish off Black Bolt. And finally, that is, with a great sigh of relief, the node 12 completion. And just to show you guys, as per my videos before, you can see the total attempts. You know, obviously I streamlined this video to really kind of highlight the key characters to target, and the overall strategy. But you can see here with mission 12, total attempts here actually being 9. Let's see here, total attacks being 15. And the best one was definitely the 9.3 million being the last one. So I mean, the first attack and the last attack definitely was the most meaningful, as you can see. But afterwards, it was just a straight grind, as you can see here from the records. And as per usual in my videos, I do like to show you guys where I stand as well in my achievement records here. That way you can kind of see how long it took me. But remember, keep in mind, Dark Dimension 4, I did start it at 516, so 516 days. It's been 40 days elapsed, and finally node 12 is in the books. So thank you as always, you guys. Do appreciate you checking my videos, and as always, I'll see you in the next one, continuation through the legendary nodes.